a winter evening in a suburb outside Colorado Springs, the sky had been pressing down since mid-afternoon, low and gray, the kind of gray that promised snow and kept its promise. By 7 o'clock, the streets were empty, and the world had shrunk to the radius of a porch light. In 30 years, Ethan Carter would not remember what he had been doing in the minutes before it happened, would not remember the dishes, or Lily's footsteps, or the particular quality of the silence in that house on that night. But he would remember, with precision that never dimmed, the sound of the knock at the door. Inside the small house on Creekside Lane, Ethan Carter was washing dishes. The window above the sink was fogged at the edges, and through it the backyard had become a slow white erasure. He could hear Lily upstairs, her footsteps, the clunk of a toy, a song she had made up and sung to herself in pieces for the last 3 days. The melody had no particular shape. He had come to find it reassuring. He dried his hands on the dish towel and stood for a moment in the silence between her footsteps. 7 years old, and she still moved through the house like weather, unpredictable, everywhere at once, and then suddenly very still. He had built this life carefully. Not quickly, not with any particular optimism, carefully. The way you build something when you know it has to hold. The garage was 6 blocks east. He opened at 7, closed at 5:30, and spent the hours in between doing what he was good at, listening to engines, reading what they said, fixing what he could. Most of his customers had been coming to him for years. They trusted him without quite knowing why, which was the way Ethan preferred it. He had not always been a mechanic. There had been other years, other cities, a different version of himself, one who had worked in server rooms and clean offices, who had spoken a language of exploits and countermeasures that the people around him at the garage would not have recognized as language at all. But those were buried now, under the ordinary weight of Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, under the smell of motor oil and Lily's strawberry shampoo and the particular quiet that had settled over everything after Mara died. He kept a small photograph of Mara on the windowsill above the sink, not the formal one from their wedding, but one taken in a grocery store parking lot the summer before Lily was born. She was laughing at something just outside the frame. He had long ago stopped being able to remember what. The photograph remained, because taking it down had always seemed, on the days when he thought about it, like something he was not quite ready to do. He turned off the kitchen light and started toward the stairs. The knock came just as he reached the bottom step. It was not a loud knock, not frantic, not authoritative. It was the knock of someone who had been standing at the door for a moment before committing to it. The way you knock when you're not entirely sure you have the right to. He paused, one hand on the banister. Outside, the snow was picking up. He could hear it now. The fine sibilance of it against the window glass. The particular hush that a heavy snowfall laid over a neighborhood, muffling the distance, making the world smaller than it already was. He had no particular reason to feel anything about a knock at the door. People knocked. He went and opened it. The woman on the porch was holding herself with the concentrated stillness of someone fighting vertigo. She was wearing a dark wool coat, good quality, wrong for this weather, and her shoes were wet through. Snow had settled on her shoulders and in her hair, which was darker than he remembered, longer. Her face was pale past the point of cold, a pallor that came from somewhere interior. She was very pregnant. He registered all of this in the space of a second, the way you register something your brain is already running ahead to process. And then she looked up, and her eyes met his, and something in his chest dropped several inches. "Ethan," she said, not the way most people said his name, not flatly. Not with the slight interrogative uptick of someone unsure they had the right address. She said it the way his mother had said it when he was 12, the way his oldest friends had said it before he had stopped having oldest friends. Stretched at the front, soft at the back, like it was a word she had been keeping somewhere and was now very carefully returning. He said nothing. He could not, for a moment, make his mouth do anything useful. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. Her voice was steady, which was clearly costing her something. He had last seen Clara Bennett when they were 19. She had been standing in the parking lot of the Greyhound station in Millhaven, a town that existed mostly as a place people left, and she had been wearing a green jacket and carrying a duffel bag that looked like it held everything that mattered to her. She had not cried. Neither had he. They had stood there until the bus arrived. And then she had walked toward it. And then she was gone. And then 15 years went by. "Come inside," he said. She stepped forward, and he stepped back, and she made it as far as the entryway mat before her legs went. He caught her at the elbow, not gracefully, but effectively, and got her to the couch in the living room, before she could slide any further. She sat heavily, both hands pressed to her knees, head bowed. "I'm okay," she said, which was demonstrably untrue. "Stay there." He went to the kitchen, filled a glass with water, found a blanket in the hall closet. When he came back, she was still sitting in the same position, staring at the middle distance. Her wet coat still on. He set the water on the coffee table and draped the blanket over her shoulders without asking. From the top of the stairs, Lily's voice. "Dad, who's at the door?" "A friend," he said. "Go back to your room for a few minutes, okay? I'll come up." A pause. Lily was 7, which meant she was already calculating. "Is she okay?" "She's going to be fine." "Go on." Footsteps retreating. The sound of a door clicking shut, but not completely. He could picture it. Left open an inch. Her eye at the gap. Clara had taken her coat off. She was wearing a gray sweater underneath, and the swell of her pregnancy was fully visible now, round and insistent. She was somewhere in her 3rd trimester, he thought. Though he had no medical training, he just remembered what Mara had looked like at 8 months. "How did you find me?" he asked. "It took a while," she said. "Public records. Garage registration." She looked up at him. "You didn't make it easy." "No," he agreed. She picked up the glass of water and drank half of it. Her hands, he noticed, were steady. Whatever was wrong with the rest of her, her hands were steady. They had grown up 3 houses apart on the same street in Millhaven, a town in the flat middle of the state where the biggest employer was a grain processing plant, and the high school had 1 gym and 1 guidance counselor who also coached JV soccer. Clara's father was an accountant, the kind who stayed late every tax season and came